Familiar with a nursery rhyme about Humpty Dumpty who sat on a wall. But did you ever wonder what happened to him after his fall? Our next guest did, and he gave an American classic a new ending. Vuthy Kuon, a 24-year-old graduate of the Rhode Island School of Design, produced his first children's book called Humpty Dumpty After the Fall, and the book is already in its second printing. Vuthy, congratulations on this.
Thank you very much.
How did you get, you were a student at the Rhode Island School of Design when you decided to write a book about Humpty Dumpty, right?
Yes.
How did you get into Humpty?
Well, it was my senior year at the Rhode Island School of Design. It was 1994. I was working at the RISD library. And, well, I've always loved children's books, and I never really knew exactly where I wanted to go with it. But while working there, I'd look at children's books every time I'm working, and I just noticed that Humpty Dumpty never had an ending. And then I looked at another story, still didn't have an ending. So I thought, wow, wouldn't this be a great opportunity to like give Humpty Dumpty an ending, not just any ending, but one of encouragement, faith, and something that I can share my beliefs in.
Now you were studying art at RISD, right? So you weren't really like a writer. You were an artist and doing illustrations. Who did you study with?
Well, I studied with David Macaulay.
He wrote The Way Things Work?
The Way Things Work, Cathedral, Black and White. He's had a couple of Caldecots. He was my advisor at RISD. And I worked with Barry Moser. He's written he's illustrated over 200 children's books, I believe. Mary Jane Begin. Some very well-renowned illustrators.
Now, you were born in Cambodia.
Yes.
And you fled the country in 1975 with your family when you were 3 years old, right? And then moved to Houston?
Yeah, actually, that's going to be one of my next projects, too. I'm writing a book called Ecclesiastes 3:1-8, and it is based on the verse that goes, there's a time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, a time to uproot, and it takes you throughout the first 3 years of my life, being born in Cambodia, my life there, taking refuge in Thailand, then my whole extended family getting sponsored to the United States. And
is it going to be a children's book?
It's going to be a picture book.
Okay.
I don't know if I want to call it a children's book per se. The reading level will probably be more middle school, but most of the books that I write, I like to gear them towards not just children, but a lot for the adults also.
So when you were a little kid, did you grow up with Humpty Dumpty? Did Mom read that to you, or what?
My mother, actually, she didn't really speak that much English. We came in 1975 to the U.S., and so my parents didn't really read children's books. Actually, in our family, children's books weren't a big deal at all. Everyone was more.
Your parents ran a donut. They still do run a donut shop in Houston, right?
Yes, yes. They have a donut shop. They're into business. And they more into making money so that we can live comfortably. Because coming from Cambodia, we really didn't have much money at all, and so that money has always been a big factor. Therefore, children's books hasn't really been one of the.
But you somehow Humpty Dumpty fascinated you, and you wrote a book about it. And why don't you read it for us? Okay?
Sure.
Humpty Dumpty After the Fall, new ending here.
Okay.
We've got pictures to go with. You drew all the illustrations.
Yes, I did. Okay, it's Humpty Dumpty After the Fall. Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty together again. The doctor came and told the nurse, we must check his heartbeat first. He then pulled out the stethoscope. He listened, then he gave up hope. His heart don't beat. I think it's broke. Well, a heart can't beat if a heart's a yoke. The nurse cried out in desperate fear, loud and clear, is the tailor here? The tailor came, did not fare well. With every stitch he'd break the shell. Humpty longed his same self be, back to one piece, not 70. The carpenter built him crutches of wood, with rubber ends, but still weren't good. Humpty said, I can see your craft, but what will I do with my other half? Now who will help me? Humpty cried. 3 have failed, 3 have tried. The welder came and willed to weld. He scorched the shell and also failed. Don't burn the egg, the baker said. I will need the whites for bread. Then why don't you just take it all? Nah, yolk is full of cholesterol. Then the tax collector came. The people ran, they feared his name. It's time to pay, this he spoke. Humpty said, I can't. I'm broke. Left alone, the sun burned high, his yellow heart fried as time went by. But from above there came a dove, whose open wings were arms of love. And from his beak a loving voice said, through your pain you must rejoice. Have faith, my friend, reach out your hand. Now touch my wing, be one again. He then stood up, his lesson learned. He left his wall and never returned. Now his heart is full of bliss. Humpty's story will go like this. Humpty Dumpty, after the fall, helped the needy at every call. He vowed to the women and all the town's men he'd never sit idle and be lazy again. The end.
That's a great story.
Thank you.
It's got
Thank you
everything
very
in it. Love, redemption, the work ethic.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's funny, too. It's got humor.
Yeah, it's been used a lot for so many different things. It's actually really amazing because when I was writing it, I never really thought of all the things that could come out of it.
Mm-hmm.
But the book so far has been used for many fundraising events. It's been used for for churches, for the home to help the homeless, for literacy,
Libraries, school
for
libraries,
schools.
Now, I know, Vuthy, you had this book hit the market in September. You published it yourself, Providence Publishing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And within a couple of months, you already sold the first 2,000, and then you got into your second printing.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think this book's been so popular? What is it about this that's touching people, making them buy the book?
I think one of the biggest things probably is, Humpty Dumpty doesn't have a face. The reason
that's right. You're right. There's no
the
face.
reason he doesn't have a face is because he basically represents every man. Like anyone could be in that situation. You could put any face in there, and anyone could fall off at any time and need someone or something to help them up. And a lot of times it's not the people who can help, but they have to take their own initiative. Plus, they have to also have a little special help from someone from above too to get them going.
I noticed there were some biblical themes sort of woven in there. The dove. Can you tell me about what you had in mind when you were doing that?
Yes. At the end, there was a time while I was writing this book in college that I myself was very physically ill and just very tired and just overworked, and I never really knew how to get out of it. I tried, getting help from friends and doing things on my own, but it never really helped. And then it wasn't until I really called out to God that God can heal just about anyone and help us out in any situation. And so that's a word of encouragement that I'm wishing that I can share with people as I go around and do events at schools and bookstores and libraries and things.
Very nice. A good message. And what other projects are you working on now besides Humpty Dumpty?
Let's see.
What's next?
Let's see. One of the actually, I have a lot of things going right now. I have a Christmas book called Theodore Was Here, coming out next Christmas.
You're illustrating it for somebody else?
Yes, Theodore Publishing in Dallas. Let's see, I just finished a national children's magazine called Kids Fun Zone Magazine. There's another book called Pug. It's about a pug dog and a dog race that represents the human rat race. How you follow certain biblical lessons like love is patient, love is kind. You said pug is patient, pug is kind. You follow those rules and you can get ahead in this human rat race.
And this is one that you're writing and illustrating?
Yes.
Do you see yourself more as an author or an illustrator, or both?
It's funny that you asked me because I've always thought of myself as an artist. I loved art, and I never knew what I wanted to do with my art. But then as I went to RISD, I started having a love for children's books and children, of course. And then I started seeing how at RISD they teach you to create. And in creating, I had to become, I started thinking about writing more. And now actually I feel there's a lot more art in writing sometimes than I do in my illustrations.
So you sort of blend them both.
Yeah.
You see yourself as both. So.
Yeah, I'm really proud of the fact that now, even though I think I'm an artist, that people are starting to say, "Oh, aren't you the author?"
You're like, whoops.
Yeah.
Vuthy, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. It's a great book.
Thank you very
Coming
much.
up next, violinist Lynn Chang and pianist Richard Kogan give us a classical treat. Stay with us.